Did you say charge? I mean, maybe you didn't say it out loud, but were you thinking it at least? All right. I said it to myself. I'll be honest. All right. So lesson number 8. Now we are adding, and we're going to use our vocabulary here. It's not it's not integers. It's rational numbers. Now, integers, remember, are your positive or your negative whole numbers. So those are all whole numbers. Rational numbers, that can be anyone written as a fraction. So the way of thinking about it is positive and negative fractions and decimals. That's what we're after here. So remember, things to keep in mind there when you are doing any sort of adding or subtracting with decimals, we do need to line up the decimal. All right. Remember, if it is a whole number, all right, it does get a decimal and gets a 0 there. It's little things. The big thing here is you got to kind of analyze the problem. So let's look at example number 1 here. Yes, it is an addition problem, all right, but to end up solving this, you're actually going to do a subtraction problem. So look below. Look how it's been set up. Because, all right, because when we typically would do mental math, and think about it, let's say it was 4 plus negative 12. In your head, you would say, oh, subtract, and then, yep, it's negative because there's more negatives. Well, that's kind of what we're doing. In your head, you're doing 12 minus 4, getting 8, and then making it a negative 8. Well, here, though, because we can't necessarily always do the math in our head, we need to rewrite the problem. So I am going to subtract here. So we are just going to go and subtract. So do a little borrowing. All right. How about an 8 there? How about a 0 there? A little more borrowing here. All right. And an 8 there. So 8 and 8 hundredths. But that's not my final answer, because what I have to watch for is my answer is going to be negative. So one thing that I suggest is if you know the answer to be negative, get a negative sign down right away that you know it's going to be negative. This way you're not forgetting about it, because it is a step that you have to watch for. So let's look at example number 2 here. Same signs, they are alike, they're both negatives, so we set up an addition problem. So yeah, I wouldn't even, see how they got the negatives that were there? You know what, I wouldn't even do that. I would, again, make sure I put down that my answer is going to be negative, and then when we stack them up, I'm not even going to put them in there. I'm just going to do a normal addition problem there. So 6 plus nothing is 6. That's a 4. That's a 7. So now I know it's negative 7 and 46 hundredths. So yeah, I wouldn't put those negatives in there. It's going to kind of throw you off if that's the case. The main thing is that you do need to rewrite the problems based on what you're going to do. So your turn. You can see here we've got a like sign, so we are going to add. So I'm going to add these guys together. All right. I know the answer is going to be negative, so I'm going to get my negative off to the side there. 5 plus nothing is 5. 6 plus 1 is 7. Drop my decimal straight down. 2 plus 5 is 7, and 1 plus, so it's negative 17 and 75 hundredths. Sorry, but I'm having a little trouble here with the pen there. Let's erase that. There we go. Again, it is multi-step here. All right, let's look at the next guy here. Yeah, I see an addition sign, but we're not going to use addition to solve it. We have different signs, so we do need to subtract. So bigger number first always, all right? And then we can subtract a 7 and a 4. The larger number was positive, so it's going to stay positive. So, yep, as basic as that, 4 and 7/10. So the main thing here is you've got to analyze, hey, when I set this up, am I going to add or subtract? And then also you've got to keep in mind is, what about my sign? Is it going to be positive or negative? So we do have a few things we have to watch for. I know it. Yeah, there's a few things we got to be aware of. So, so remember, rational numbers are decimals. They are also fractions as well. So we're going to do the same thing as we're going to interpret the problem, and we're going to realize, hey, we got different signs here. I need to subtract. So I'm really doing 3/8 minus 1/8. So when I do subtract, I do get 2/8. Clean it up to 1/4. But then, hey, is my answer positive or negative? Well, no, 3/8 is larger. It was positive, so I do get an answer of 1/4. That's it. Let's look at example number 4. Same signs, alike signs, so I do need to add them together. So I'm going to do 2/5 plus 3/4. But again, I know because they're both negatives, my answer is going to be a negative. So I do want to keep that in mind. A little common denominator action going on here. All right, times 5, so that's a 15, times a 4, so that's an 8. So 8 plus 15 is 23, so negative 23rd 20ths. We could leave it like that because no one fits into 23 and into 20. If you do want to clean it up, it would be a negative 1 and 3/20. So you could give me that, or you could give me that. I would take either one. Um, let's do this. Oop, that's a little too much there. Let's watch what's going on here. Same signs, so we're going to add them together. And this is where, common denominator, yes. So we add, all right, keep the sign, and then we'll simplify. All right. Next guy here is, wait a second. Common denominator, yeah, I know I got to do that, but is it an addition problem or subtraction problem I'm really going to do? Well, I'm really going to subtract. So who's bigger, 7/12 or 3/5? Well, this is wait a second. Well, watch what we can do here, all right? First of all, common denominator is 60, okay? So when we do that, that's a times of 5, so that's a 35. That's times of 12, so 12 times 3, that is 36, but it is negative. Now we can go, look, it's going to be, this is the negative's larger. So if you don't have to worry about the very beginning of the problem, you can analyze it here. So now's when I can realize, okay, I'm going to subtract these guys, all right, and then I need to keep the sign what I got more of, so it is negative. So again, just take it into consideration. Make sure that you are utilizing it. Let's see what we've got here. Mixed numbers. It's the same idea, but remember with your fractions, all right, you need to make sure, all right, you just add your whole numbers together. So, let me show you something here because some of you might decide to do something a little bit differently. You could, all right, and we could show you here, and we'll do it with this problem right here. We could go about our business, common denominator. Okay, there's an 8, times a 2, so that's a 6, times a 1, so that's a 1 that's there. So I've got 2 1/8 plus, and then negative 1 6/8. Well, I can see here that it is going to be a subtraction problem. Now, the issue here is this, 2 1/8 minus 1 6/8. Okay, 1 minus 6 is a negative 5, and 2, you can't have a negative fraction and a positive whole number. It just doesn't work out that way. The number's either positive or it's negative, and we know it has to be positive. So you got two things you could do here. One, you could borrow. You could borrow if you like, and some of you are going, no, don't make me do that. So here's your other option. All right, change it to improper fraction. 8 times 2 is 16. 16 plus 1 is 17, so it's 17/8. 8 times 1 is 8. 8 plus 6 is 14, so it's negative 14/8. So now when we subtract, all right, 17 minus 4 is 3, so it is a 3/8, and yes, it is going to be positive. There we go. So there's ways of getting around it if you didn't want to do your borrowing, all right? And just to show you, your borrowing would mean changing this to a 1. This would be adding on 8/8, so it would be a 9/8. And guess what 9/8 minus 6/8 is? Yeah, 3/8. So it's your choice, but again, you could go improper. The downside of improper, larger numbers, all right? More of a chance of making a mistake, more simplifying to do, but it does end up getting the job done. What we want you to do here is write an expression, and then I'm solving. So writing an expression pretty much just means a math sentence, all right? That's what we're looking for. So Lucy owes her dad $3.75 and received $10 from her grandmother. How much money will Lucy have left if she pays her dad? When she pays her dad back. My goodness, who's writing this stuff? All right, so main idea here is if you owe someone that is a negative number, and if you get money coming in that is a positive, so we would add it on. So yes, we are going to subtract 10 minus 3 and 75 hundredths. And this is where, some of you are like, can I do mental math here? Yes. The only thing though is we do need to write an expression. So I do need this. But if you look at this and you can figure out that that's 6 and 25 hundredths or $6.25, if you want to think money wise here, because We do want that. That's great. That's fine. If you need to go through the process, you can do that. We're almost there, people. There's only just one more left. The caterpillar climbs 70 meters down a tree and then climb down another. So if we're climbing down the tree, all right, down on a number line, that is a negative. And then we're adding on another negative 1 and 3400ths. So there's my expression, all right, and now I need to solve. So I do need to add them together. So 7200ths plus 1 and 3400ths. When we add a 6, a 0, a 2, so 2 and 600ths, but relation to it went down, so it is a negative amount. Think of the thermometer if you need to. So again, we're definitely going to be involving some mental math here, but be careful how much you do of the mental math.